Diana Msoke, Senior Counsel. I'm a senior lecturer and also a practicing advocate. I am very privileged to have come here to discuss the issues about the marriage bill. And my concern is that we have put up so many different marriages under one law, and it is getting confusing. And the reason is because we have put conditions on some marriages, and for others we haven't. For example, when we look at the issue of prohibited degrees, we have put it only to the Hindu marriages, and the other marriages we are not having prohibited degrees, which is dangerous because that will mean that people are going to marry their relatives even within those degrees. So I think we need time to be able to look at each particular type of law, and once we look at each, then we can be able to have such a bill. And then also another aspect that I'm looking at is when you look at the bill itself, I think it is watering down the institution of marriage. When you talk about people having a no-fault divorce, and you have only one ground, the sole ground, irretrievable breakdown of marriage, I think that is going, people are just going to wake up in the morning and say, I'm tired of you, so let's have a divorce. So I think we need to look at the institution of marriage as an important institution. We need to preserve it. But if where people cannot actually be together, then there should be a ground which is sound that they then can be able to prove, and then they can get out. Because if we just say people can just move out, I think we are making everything so simple, and we are going to have the institution completely eroded, and maybe we are then going to have more of illegitimate children. Then we are going to have more of issues of maintenance and custody of children if we get to that. And then another thing which I've looked at is that we have a clause where we presume marriages for purposes of maintenance and property rights. And then after presuming that of marriages, meaning that we are going to presume people who are living when they're not married, we are presuming they are married for purposes of children and property. And yet, when we look at the provision which creates offenses and penalties, we are now saying that if you hold out and say that you are married and yet you are not married, then you commit an offense. And once you are convicted, you are liable to be imprisoned for 3 years. Now, are we going to imprison everybody in Uganda? Because most people are just cohabiting. And then what kind of offense are you going to have all these people, and you're even going to make them pay money in currency, a lot of money, because they are holding out? So we need to look at our situation and see if our intention is to preserve marriages, then we should do that. And then when we have a provision where we say that you are going to have a monogamous marriage and you can convert it into a polygamous marriage, I think here what they are trying to chew is that you are married under the church, or you are married under civil, and then when you feel you have gotten 4 wives, now you can convert that marriage into a polygamous marriage. Then you can take on as many as possible. But then we have an option. If you don't want to go monogamous, you have an option of going customary, polygamous. So stay in that line, but you can't be in two lanes. That's why if it is polygamous and you encourage monogamous, then get to monogamous. But if you encourage monogamous and now you're opening up to polygamous, then it means that you are not going to have any monogamous marriages, actually, because the civil marriages, you have made them polygamous, and those are the secular, those are the government marriages. So what the message I'm getting from this is that actually the government encourages polygamous marriages. It no longer encourages monogamous marriages. That is the take. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I'm going to go through this paper that you have, and maybe I'll be glad to answer your questions after going through it. Down there on point number two, page number 1, number 2, the Ugandan family institution is in crisis because of very unrealistic, restrictive, discriminative, unfair, and grossly imperialist laws in respect of marriage. Many heterodox couples who have lived together or cohabited amicably and successfully for years and with children get condemned as having no legally recognized marital relationship just because they have not walked the aisle to have their marriages solemnized under any of the legally recognized and registered institutions. And many men, having contracted lots of cohabitations, abandon their women in cohabitation and take on new ones to walk aisles with, and pro-monogamy churches and clerics register, wed them for the state, leaving behind hosts of heartbroken women who many times end up as deprived single mothers, deprived children, considered bastards. Yet many legally registered marriages end in breakdowns, separations, divorces, bloodbaths, costing lots of heartbreaks, vulnerable and totally deprived children, while in many others spouses painfully bleed. Many men in Christian church fraternities and walks of life, including clergy, politicians, corporates, lawyers, judges, doctors, engineers, businessmen, farmers, teachers, etc., are secretly practically polygamous. That's to mean have more than one wife. Call one wedded in church the official wife, and the others deemed concubines. And concubines exist in every spectrum of society, including legislators. Concubines serve as husbands, yet with children suffer discrimination and deprivation caused by harshly discriminative marital laws. Churches are full of concubines and cohabiting women, desperately seeking God to also have their own husbands in vain. Many single Christian women and concubines craving for sex and marriage in churches are dubbed sexually exploited and dumped by married men, including clergy, who fear to be known having extramarital affairs or compelled to engage in masturbation or prostitution or lesbian sex activities. Many women struggle as single mothers because their men subscribe to Christian faiths that bedol one man, one wife, that's monogamy, and deny fathering children to keep their faiths and marriages. Surprisingly, money from polygamous men, concubines, cohabiting couples is never rejected by devout pro-monogamy and cohabiting bedding clerics, which is a hypocrisy, exploiting sinners. When in need of sex, many monogamous men masturbate or sexually exploit vulnerable females under their care and charge, or procure prostitutes, or sodomize their own wives when their wives deliberately, with or without valid reason, deny them sex, or are obviously heavily pregnant or sick or still nursing maternity heart, or in menstrual periods, or when not in mood due to mood swinging caused by family planning usage. Many women and females in monogamous confines suffer silently just because men have no legal alternative to sexually ease themselves. We can't forget that without ejaculation, sexually starved men can suffer prostate problems, including enlargement and cancers due to carcinogens that have not been emitted through ejaculations. Sex is a natural preventive activity.
Honorable Basalirwa, please. I think you may need to transfer. please listen.
Chair,
Please, honorable
Chair,
members, let us listen in because you are going to raise all your questions.
Status of having only one spouse at a time, mostly peddled by Christian and feminist movements worldwide, and legal in Europe, North America, and most developed countries. And while polygyny, which is polygamy, is when a man is married to more than one wife concurrently. Traditionally, from ancestry among many world people, there is no problem with polygamy, but there is no progressive culture that permits women to have more than one husband at the same time. Let me jump to page 6. Up there, biblical and Quranic teachings also have no problem with polygamy, but whereas the Bible has no express limit on the number of wives a man can have at a time, the Quran limits him to 4, and with conditions of loving, providing for, and treating them equal. In Exodus 21:10, God commands, if a man takes another wife, he must not deny the first one food, clothing, and all her marriage rights. Let me jump down there. Polyandry. There is no biblical, Quranic, or cultural basis for polyandry. A woman concurrently married to more than one man and living polyandrous life, not even in India, where it is women who used to pay the dowry, till it was outlawed by the Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961. Let's come to page 7, as I'm about to conclude. Page 7. We, especially Christians, many times mix up or equate or bundle up adultery with polygamy similarly to the legislators. Whereas polygamy is the marital status of a man being married to more than one wife concurrently. Adultery is when a married person, man or woman, engage in casual sex for pleasure with another partner with no intention of permanence. Chairman, there is where there's a mix-up in beliefs and teachings. People does not differentiate what is polygamy and what is adultery, and again, what is fornication. They don't differentiate it, and they can easily mislead the legislators in forming the law. And while with the polygamy, for each of the wives man has, all prerequisites for marriage offered by the man, acceptance by the woman, parental consent, and dowry, mandatory or discretional, and God's omnipresence are fulfilled. None is honored in adultery. My argument is, God does not need many to ceremonize marriage. He is omnipresent, and parents whom the 50th biblical commandment mandates us to honor, Exodus 20:12, effectively represent him in all marriage arrangements. Biblical precedents support my argument. Polygamy is a marital commitment, while adultery is not and can also be termed as have pleasure and dump or live or just be truth. Whereas adultery is explicit, biblical, and Quranically prohibited, there is no single explicit or implicit biblical and Quranic basis for prohibition of polygamy. Otherwise, all biblical figures with more than one wife concurrently will be destined for hell. Christians wrongly cite David's affair with Bathsheba to validate their polygamy, the same as adultery claims. We need to critically examine this case in 2 Samuel chapter 11 and 12 to understand the distinction. That's the following. Repeal the law on polygamy. The requirement of license to premises should not be a requirement for marriage because it leaves out those without license to places. Legalize biblical Christian polygamous marriage. Christian men marrying more than one wife according to the biblical precepts and precedents. for men who can afford and are able, taking on obvious single women and widows, silently enduring sex starvation and desperately seeking, praying and waiting for marriage miracles to come their way, that has made many victims of sexual exploitation and abuses in worship places and shrines. The Bible is subject to interpretation, and there are so many issues of disagreement between different Christian groups, but that does not exclude either from being a Christian. Whereas other churches like Catholics, Anglicans, Orthodox just sprinkle for baptism, you will find Pentecostals and other evangelicals immersing in water. That's our differences, but all of us are Christians. So that's my prayer, Chair. Page 13, number 4. Yes, legalize. Legalize 26.6% of Ugandans aged above 18 years are cohabiting. That is according to 2024 census report, page 30. There's no reason why we cannot recognize them as husband and wife when they consider themselves so. When the Baha'i and the Hindu, who make up less than 1.5% of Uganda's total population, can have their marriages recognized. Besides, in many churches, cohabiting members outnumber the married and have children. They also work together and progress in their relationships and contribute greatly to the economy and national development. So because they can't be forced to separate, and women and children in their need to be protected, there is need to automatically legalize their relationships in line with the constitutional provisions in Article 21, equality and freedom from discrimination. Out as though married as an offense. This cannot be an offense when biblical Christian polygynous marriage and cohabitation are legalized. So do I submit, and thanks for the opportunity. God bless you, for God and my country.
Who God created with a lot of strength. I think it is a selfish submission. Chair, we moved together and listened in. The men of God were quoting the Bible. And I am not very good at reading the Bible, but at least I heard that in the Bible, there was a man, a strong man, who had wives, over how many concubines, over how many, but that shows that that man was following his character. And now here you have come to advocate for such characters. I'm asking, what shows that even if you are given allowed 10 or 20 or 100 as you claim to be, what shows that you will stick to those 10? What shows that you will still be satisfied with those women that you feel like you should have? Another thing, I am seeing these people are trying to play around the sexual organs of women. When you check where they say that the Bible doesn't show where a woman is allowed to have more than men, they quoted the Bible that it doesn't. Who says that we should always draft the laws that satisfy us from the Bible? Meaning that you are now running away from the truth that you are bringing. When it comes to a woman's satisfaction, you say that the Bible doesn't do what? But when it is about yourself, you bring in the quotations of the Bible. Are you being fair? We are saying, when you go to page 11, when sex is denied to a man, the following can happen. What about a woman? We normally draft laws and then go to the opposite side of it. You know, there are days when a man or a woman is badly in need of such thing. But when your wife wants it, you're already in that other corner. You come back when the period has done what? You see? The selfish part of it has come in. And for us women, we say, let's be fair to one another. We are all human beings. We feel what you feel. And we both need to be satisfied. I am saying, who is asking me whether I am not alone. I might say I'm not alone. Yes, I'm not alone. I know these things happen. But do you need to bring it to the law? Do you need to bring it to the law? I have said, I am a product of, yes, I'm a product of polygamy. But the government has not condemned my parents. Even in church, when you go there, they are Mothers Union women, but there are also Christian women. Meaning that though the law is silent, they know that these things happen. Why do you have to bring it? Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Simple one. Because when the first presenter said that in their church, they don't even consider women to be pastors, but he was emphasizing issues of equality, that's why they want many women to be catered for and married, so that they are married to provide for equality. So, is he preaching that what he practices? Is he preaching the talk? Why do you discriminate women from being part of the pastors or the preachers, and yet you want to marry women because you want them to be equally married? However, but in his presentation, the second speaker was justifying marrying many women, because, you know, he's trying to protect men, that when the woman is in her period, the man doesn't need to masturbate or do all those things. But even when a man is married to 3 women, are they stuck with 3 women? I've seen men who are married to even 6, but they still meander. So would that mean that if you actually allow polygamy, will that stop the vice of meandering and marrying so many women? And even stopping that masturbation that you are talking about, and what? Colleagues,
What Honorable said. What you mean men cannot starve for those 3 days, like when a woman is in her period? Yet for us, we can starve when you have gone the other side. When they are even in Dubai. When they are doing their work, we can't starve. That's what they want to tell us. So, but my issue was, Chair, the good thing, these people are pastors. They come to us, they always talk to us. Sometimes we agree and we try to do what they really want, because we are here for our people. But people outside there, the people you preach to, they don't understand that even we get these sessions to talk to you people. Go teach your people what you want us to do for you. Then after that, you will come back. Then we see what to do. Because if we pass a law, they will say, members of what? Parliament. They will not blame you. They will blame us. Go preach to your people what you want. You want your 20 women. You tell them that this is what we want. Then you bring it back to us after the research. Don't just come to us and we buy your idea. After that, we get issues. Because for us, we get votes from each corner. I'm a Muslim. I don't care about the women, whether you have 10 or what, as long as I'm satisfied with what you are giving me. But your religion, they're strict. Go teach them what you are teaching us now. Then after that, that's my proposal. After that, we'll pass the law. Thank you.
I'm seeking clarification on page 12. Number 2. Requirement of a licensed premises. As you know, marriage is a contract with the legal rights and all the responsibilities. Why would you want such a contract to be handled in a place which is not licensed? As you know, sometimes it will end in court. How do you challenge it if it was not registered? You did it where it was not licensed. Why are you suggesting they remove? Are there any challenges? Maybe you should bring out the challenges that unlicensed churches, why aren't you licensed? Is there a challenge in terms of the fees you pay? What is that serious issue you cannot handle that you want us to forego this part?
Time. For me, my first take on the presenters before us start from their name as End of Times. Thank you for the presentation, End of Times. Indeed, End of Times, as the Bible says. 2, Chair, in the presentation, they have quoted very many verses of the Bible. And to me, Honorable Chair, this presentation is really, really gender bias. Too much of gender bias. Inclined to support the men and take the women so many years back that we have moved as a world towards gender equality. Why I say so, Chair, they have given us very many quotations from the Bible. And I wish this was an academic paper. I would have predicted you, even if I'm not a religious person, using the same Bible that you say you are God's men in leadership. Chair, I know some bit of the Bible. Starting from Genesis, when God commanded that a man must marry a wife. I think that is Genesis, is it 2:24, when God talks about marriage. And that is the beginning of the Bible, when God was speaking to man, right from Eden. We did not see God picking so many women and bringing to one man. That's why, Chair, I'm crying that if this was an academic paper, I would have really stood on the other side or sat on the other side and given you a proper analysis as far as your submission is concerned. I take 1 Timothy 2:3, 1 Corinthians 7:2, which talks about a man having one wife, and many other verses in the Bible. So when you were presenting, I got confused, because you were picking the verses of the Bible which suits your interest. And I thought, I want you to help me. I thought you were looking for converts using this committee and using Parliament. I want you to help me to align my thinking properly to your submission, because that is what I picked from you. 1, gender biasness. 2, looking for converts, because if it's the Bible, which I read and I believe you read, there are so many verses and books which talks against polygamy. 3,
when you read these books, where you are justifying of polygamy, where we have many wives, starting from David, you see problems. Solomon, that's why Solomon was a very strong king, if I can remember. But because of many wives, Delilah plucked one of his hair, and we saw problems. Oh, we see problems. Throughout the Bible, if you read them, where there are many women, you see problems. So as men of God, help me. I think this is not the right forum. This is an academic argument that I would have loved to argue with you properly on the same Bible. That because for me, I've also read the Bible. And so what can you tell us about that? Because here, we are having this law before us to regulate the institution of marriage. And the institution of marriage or the family life is not a simple thing that must be played with. Any proposal that we are making it here must be to help the family, to help the marriage life. 4, we have other religions, like the one for Honorable Basarewa, which advocates for polygamy. Why can't you go and join such? Or even African traditional religions. For them, polygamy is something which is okay. Why can't you go and join those ones, and other men who think like, and women who think like polygamy is the best thing, so that we leave the Christian marriage, because you are saying you are not aligned to the interreligious denomination. Me, I see as a problem here. Last week when we had the Muslims here, they were really very, very smart, and they spoke with one voice as a denomination. But here we are seeing Christians speaking different languages. So how do we take you seriously? The same people preaching the same Bible, coming here to give the committee different views and different languages. So, Chair, finally, we don't want confusion. If you are Christians, sit down together, give us what can help this country to regulate the marriage institution rather than coming with different views. And finally, I want to add my voice to what the chair, your co-chair, mentioned on page 12. Yes.
We are processing this law for the entire country. It is not either for the polygamists or for the monogamists. I can see a debate where people think so and so is in the other group, therefore I would love it to put the other side, so and so. For me, I want to thank our team here, the team before us. First of all, for the courage and the confidence in what you believe in and the research. You see, we have, excuse me, we have been, by the way, even the Bible says that somewhere, if we have not been told, how shall we learn? How shall we get to know? So they are coming in here, gives us an opportunity to learn a new thing. So therefore, to me, I would love to thank them. Secondly, you see, the Bible, the fact that the Bible has the Old Testament and the New Testament makes the book of the Bible very complex. It is not like the Quran. The Quran is actually the Old Testament of the Bible. And the Bible has 2 books, the New and the Old Testament. So that one makes the Bible a very complex document. The Bible is not a given and is not subject to a constant interpretation. Different individuals are interpreting the Bible differently. And nobody should blame the other for interpreting it otherwise, because there is no standard interpretation of the Bible. So, I'm simply in a dilemma now. Yes, some of these things you raise, some of us could have also read them. but we could not have had the confidence like you have to say, let's do this. Yes. Now, the point you are saying you are Christians, not so. Practicing polygamy. I wish you could have now also, because now when you say Christians, there are many voices of Christians. We have those Christian sects which are dominant in this society of ours. We have the big Christians in this country. And then we also have the small what? Christians. I think you understand. So when it comes to that now, the fact that you say you are Christians, and then we have other Christians who are dominant, if you don't come up clearly, so, and again, you say Christianity, my understanding here, is that Christianity is not an African concept. And you also seem to agree that some of these practices promoted by some Christians through the Bible, isn't it, are actually imperialistic. Not so? So I wish you had a doctrine which is a standalone, so that you are able to stand. I had my honorable colleague there, I think from Cavalry, referring to a doctrine that is dominant in some parts of Bunyoro and the part of Toro, what we call the unit of faith. The unit of faith is not Christian. They believe in what? Polygamy. And yeah, there is like a group. And they have a platform of raising their views. But unfortunately, you could be having issues, ideas to learn from, but you seem not to be having a strong platform where you can stand and have these views become popular. Yes, here we have provided it to you here today. Yeah, you don't have a strong platform out there, which is a standalone, because you are saying when you are in the basket of the Christians, there are other dominant Christians that will not allow your beliefs to flourish. So I think you need to. But I really want to thank you for bringing up these ideas. We have learned something. For example, me, I didn't know that we have Christians who support and practice polygamy. Apart from the other pastor we have been seeing, who is somehow in successive polygamy, not so? You get this one, you drop, you pick another one, you drop.
Entire Christian doctrine, if you look at it, it is Western. It's Western. And you illustrated that the thing started and then it went to the other side, into their culture. And then by the time it reached us, it had changed completely. So the concept of one man, one wife is a European concept. That one, for me, I believe, I know it's the truth. That's the truth. So Christianity, it's not divine. It's a European thing. That one, for me, I know as a matter of fact. So Joas says, why don't you then probably detach yourself from this European concept, the entire Christianity that is a European in doctrine? I'm just trying to amplify what Joas said. And probably you start up something that can give you leverage to practice what you believe. Yes.
Free in Europe. The Western ideals were never monogamous. Monogamy came to Europe at the advent of Christianity. That's why when you read all the historical accounts, you and me went to the same school. We studied same things. You know the books we are reading in literature. The accounts, pre-Christian Europe, all accounts had polygamy. That's why even in present-day Europe, they preach monogamy and practice polygamy in one way or the other, but in some confused form. So in the lifetime of a man, he will have 8, 10 marriages. Marries this one for 3 years, divorces. Another one 5 years, divorces. So they will not go back to their roots. So the Christianity, it is Christianity that introduced monogamy in Europe. Otherwise, if there was no Christianity up to now, Europe would be practicing polygamy.
The monogamous ideas and who were Christians, but they were also Europeans. Remember, they imposed it on the other Europeans, and society evolved and it became the accepted norm because the norms kept changing. If you look at our law, common law, with the time things kept changing, then it became now the accepted.
Yeah. And you know, Chair,
but
Mr. Chairman, when Uganda Muslim Student Council was here, I want you really to convince, because the chair was giving some background and I want to give context. If we don't understand you, we who are on this committee, nobody, because it is us to explain your views in the entire house. Okay? So if the chair and the members here don't understand you, you have lost it. So first of all, when the questions are being asked, take them in good faith. Because the questions that we are asking will be the questions that the entire house will ask us. So it will be us to answer in your absence. I don't want you to confuse human weakness or sin with Christianity. Because Islam tells me not to steal, isn't it? If I steal, do I cease to be a Muslim? I will be a Muslim who has stolen, isn't it? I don't want you to confuse the two. Does the doctrine of Christianity really allow polygamy?
From the team, Reverend and the team, why are you concentrating only on sex? As in, like, you are shading a picture that marriage is in only aspect of sex, talking about masturbation, talking about satisfaction. So it's like you are merging marriage on an aspect of sex. Yet marriage is a concentration of so many other aspects, like socially, economically, how you need to raise up the children. So I don't know, we need some clarification from you. But for me, my thinking, I thought that Christianity should reserve it, and even the bill under clause 39, it gives you even a room conversion of marriages. So if you are not in need of monogamous marriage, go to polygamous and you can change it, you can convert. But for those who need it, like for those who are in Christianity, they can go for that. But for you, if you need to go for polygamous, then you go to other types of marriage. But basically, that's my concern.
No, it's okay. He will understand. He's an intellectual. Honorable will understand. I want to address all people. All people. I'm addressing all. Unfortunately, I thought people here would respect our views because we are citizens of this country. We pay taxes. We have people that believe in us. Thank you, folks.
This committee
I wouldn't be a man of God, a servant of God, if I'm against women. I wouldn't deserve to be a pastor. Remember here in 1 Timothy chapter 5, Paul says the church should not allow.
You are advocating for them to be married.
That is the thing.
Yes, they should have men to call husbands.
Listen, Chairman, in 1 Timothy chapter 5,
there are few men. And you are saying the few men who are there should have access to.
That is it.
So you are right. Proceed.
Let them allow me. Let them have temperance. Can they allow me, Chairperson? Okay, let me just answer. Now, in 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 9, he does not allow the church to record a widow until she's 60. If she's below 60, Paul says we don't allow her to linger around that she's a widow. Let's say she's 50. Will you allow your son, like my firstborn is 35 years, to marry a 55-year-old woman? So it is easier for a man who's taking a third wife to take that lady, because we cater for ladies. We have a church in Mwanza where one person died and he had 4 wives. You remember, Pastor? So the church sat down and people added themselves wives, and people are going on. And whoever took a wife took also the children. This is research. This is the reality. No, for us, I wish you could visit us. I mean, what I'm speaking is not a lie, Chairperson. So this is to cater for women. For example, widows, the elder ones. Then now, we have women. I was in Kireka near Shell renting. I have seen a man who was working in post office who was being paid by women to come and have sex. I was shocked. Women would come with Mercedes Benz and they call him and he comes with Boda. And these were real corporate women. I had never seen such a thing. So such women who have found it difficult to be a first wife, they become a second and third wife. We are catering for women. We don't want women. Yeah, you please go ahead.
Just to support that point talking about, I want the members to know that every creature you see called a woman must have come from a man. That's according to the Bible in the beginning. A woman came from a man. So according to the population, you see women who doesn't have husbands are supposed to be married. They must be married somewhere. They came from a man. Even prostitutes you see here, they came from a man. They came from a man. I'm talking about women. They came from a man. I was just supporting his point. There's a member who said, I know the attention is not there, but you said you are recording this, you will help us to answer the main. So there was a question a member was asking, that polygamy is recorded with problems. A man who had many wives ended up in recording problems in the Bible. But I want to inform the member that Adam had just one wife, Eve. And we are dying, we are suffering because that one wife, Eve. Also, we have a king in Israel called Ahab. Ahab had just one wife. And the Bible says the worst king that Israel ever had is Ahab, who had one wife. Come to Samson, the great warrior. It is one wife that made him lose favor from God. You come to somebody in the New Testament called Ananias. He just had one wife that misled him and they stole. Just one wife. Thank you. And
was who? Who was the best king?
David, the man after God's own heart. Another thing, member.
How many did David have?
500. Member, chair. I want to answer another question. A member asked that maybe we are biased. We are denying women to be preachers. We said here we are basing our views on the Bible. I want the member to go back home and read 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 34. The Bible will tell you that women are to be silent in the churches. Not only that, go to 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 11. it will tell you women are to learn in silence. We are not trying to be biased, but we follow the Bible principles. Thank you.
Gender, Labour and Social Development, which are receiving stakeholder views on the Marriage Bill 2024 and the Sexual Offences Bill 2024. On the Marriage Bill, we still have groups from Christian faith who are insisting that the Christian marriages should be potentially polygamous. The views have come today from End of Time Message Church, where pastors came to the committee and insisted that according to the Bible, and gave justifications that Christian marriages should be potentially polygamous. I want to allay the fears of those who believe that Christian marriages should be potentially monogamous, that the committee will look into all these matters. We intend to listen more to people who are learned in the Christian faith. For example, tomorrow we shall be receiving views from the Anglican Church, where the Archbishop is expected to come here himself and give us what the Christian doctrine says about marriage. Is it potentially monogamous? Is it potentially polygamous? As a committee, we are willing to listen and learn and be able to come up with a law that will be able to satisfy all stakeholders on this matter. Otherwise, we also had Dr. Diana Musoke, who gave us very interesting insights about the law on marriage, and she has been a practicing lawyer in this matter for a very long time, and she has helped us really to understand more about this law on marriage.